Well, hello to everybody, and again, I appreciate the opportunity. Lynn, thanks for having me, and for the gang for showing up and listening to it. So today, instead of being with you in sunny Florida, I'm in cold Indiana in my office. As you can see behind me, it's still dark, but sun should be coming up pretty soon. So anyhow, what we're going to do is spend a little bit of time on um, looking at stolen trailers here today, gone tomorrow. And the reason this got started because I do a lot of transportation work, and I got asked to do how to keep the trailer connected, securing your load. And one of the talks had to do with how to keep things from being stolen. Some equipment had been stolen. What can we do? And what I realized was that I didn't know much about it, hadn't thought much about it. And so from that, then we developed the publication and this presentation. Some have argued that what I'm showing you is how to steal trailers, equipment, tools, and chemicals. But the intent is for you to be able to keep yours and not share them with other
over the
people.
years, but now he suffered the biggest loss of all, a 22-foot trailer and a tractor that are essential for his business.
Well, they cut through the gate over here.
Mike McNally still isn't sure what, if anything, was stolen overnight, but the fence to his business has a new hole cut into it. And this is the person whose image was captured on the grounds. Over the weekend, other surveillance video shows a man attaching a trailer with a large tractor on it to his pickup truck and pulling away with it.
For someone to put this amount of weight on the back of a pickup truck, he was actually dragging the front of the trailer and it cut a groove in the dirt out of the shop. A double axle, 22-foot long, 7-ton trailer with a full-size New Holland, Ford New Holland tractor with a loader bucket on the front of it and a 5-foot rough mode deck on with the back of it, which is yellow, was gone out of the.
And so, here 1 minute, gone the next. And so this person really wanted this particular trailer. He cut the fence. He was able to get through the gate, apparently, and was able to, you saw the extreme way that he handled the product. So what we normally see, to be honest with you, is the more I look, the more I'm just amazed that we don't have more things stolen. Here is a trailer that's always there. Now, I don't know what's in it, but I can tell you that if I wanted this trailer here, it's mine for the taking. All I got to do is hook up to it. It's there every day. It's by a park. And so, it's easy pickings. All I do is drive back, drop it on my hitch, and I'm gone. Now, there are people that are pretty serious about trying to get into your trailers, and this is one that shows where they're trying to get into the from the side.
Home. He walks into the backyard. 30 seconds later, a white
Watch
truck drives
this.
by and makes a U-turn. Two men get out and open the trailer. One of them heads to the front of the truck, then goes to the back, hauling equipment away. Two edge trimmers, a blower
$500,
and a lawnmower. As they drive
150.
off, Nguyen is seen walking out, chasing after them.
I'm very fast.
Nguyen didn't lock his trailer, thinking he'd be gone for just a few minutes. He estimates the loss of.
So these are people that are stealing this kind of equipment when they know that the person's going to be in the backyard, is going to be out of the way, and in a matter of actually 15 seconds, they could take literally everything that he almost had of value. And what's interesting is once these companies are stolen from like this, then they're going to be looking for them again because they know that what are they going to do? They're going to have to replace it, and now they'll have brand new blowers, brand new everything, brand new mowers. The more I do this presentation live, the more I'm able to talk to people. You ought to hear these stories, and that's just not random here and there. It's probably 20% of everybody in the room has had something stolen, and the majority of them will not get them back. So we hear, well, Fred, if they want it, they'll get it. So we'll just let them have the trailer, tools, and equipment. I got insurance. And we're going to talk about insurance in another presentation. But I can tell you a lot of you don't have insurance to replace stolen equipment, stolen things, and damage that is done to your equipment. But, so just let them have it. Well, there's nothing happier that when a person can come to a trailer And what they're really wanting, I think now, again, after a couple of years of doing this and learning, is not so much the trailer that they want unless there's something special. So for instance, a lot of these horse trailers are worth a lot of money. These are high-end trailers. A lot of the trailers that we might be using, and or trailers that we're pulling boats with, um, the trailers aren't worth much, but I can tell you that boat that you have there might be, or some of the equipment. So when they open up and this is what they see, then they are extremely pleased. Now, thank you for the loan of your Polaris. And again, it's a long-term loan that I'm going to take it. So when I first started doing this, I had divided the thieves up into two parts. The opportunistic thief. This is the man or woman who needs money right now, a drug addict, somebody who owes alimony, somebody who can't pay their rent maybe, somebody who drinks a lot. Then and they steal everything. So and they don't spend a lot of time thinking about how to get rid of it. Their goal is to steal it. And if a trailer is worth 4,000, and I offered most of you in here this trailer for $500, you would take it. There wouldn't be any questions asked. Or equipment. If a leaf blower is 500, and I could get 250 for it, or 200 or 100, I have plenty of people lined up. Now, the career thief that's the criminal, that's the pro, that's the professional, and these men and women will actually stake your place out to decide what you have, when you come and go, and then lastly, what they're stealing, they've already got sold. They know they have customers that will buy these particular items, so they are more selective in what they take. And then after we started doing the presentation and before the publication came out, we did not have this third bullet, but I've been surprised of employee thefts taking place. And again, these are people that have the inside scoop. They know the locks, they know the codes, they know what you have, and that makes them dangerous every time we remove one. Every so often, we will have an employee that will decide to get even and take from you what your property.
Dean, this takes off-roading to new heights in the heights. This Toyota right here is no match for
I
this
love
trailer.
this one.
This Toyota Tacoma turns the corner Saturday morning around 8:15. The driver slows down a bit, but then suddenly hits the gas in reverse, and it's not over yet. The truck manages to grab a trailer parked on the driveway, drag it a few feet, and that badly damaged pickup is off.
I like that one because I assume this would be an opportunistic thief that needed that specialized trailer, but he wasn't too smart, so ended up not getting the trailer and tearing up his truck. But more than likely, it was a stolen truck anyhow. So what does he care? So the tools that these men and women use can be simple as pipes, hammers. We got cutters, we got crowbars, and some of the more sophisticated ones would have these battery-powered cutters that you see here, ways to cut, the way to pick locks, and those kind of things. And that's what we're fighting against.
So what we would really like to see you do is to try to prevent people being able to insert these bars into it. I can tell you right now, I can take this one and I can actually pop this one off. It's not my truck, so I'd rather not do this now. But it allows me to get in here and to really jerk this thing and to pull it off.
Okay, and so these, as we go through here, you're going to see that sometimes we think we have things secured when in fact they're easy to get. There's all kind of things you can buy out there, and we're going to demonstrate some of these. But the key here is just because it looks strong doesn't make it strong. You've got to do a little homework. And again, you'll see this as we go through it. So we've lined this up into four different sort of categories: parking, things you can do with visual signs, mechanical, such as locks, and then and today this ability to have GPS. All right, so let's look at parking as your first line of security. And basically that's going to cost nothing. Now, you know, where you put your boat, your trailer, and all your equipment, whether you take a trailer and you put it in the woods, that's pretty good. It's good because it's hidden. It's bad because if I do see it, then it's going to be easy. There won't be anybody there to watch me. I can leave it out in the open, which makes everybody knows that it's there, but makes it more difficult to find the time to steal. So, you know, that's probably doesn't help a lot. And it surely doesn't help the cause when you leave the keys in the vehicles. And I can't tell you how many of these programs, when we go outside and we look at this, how many keys I can find still in trucks. I don't understand it. Maybe I come from a different world that if you left your keys in there, that your truck would be gone. But we see, getting rid of, keeping your keys in your pocket so I don't have the truck to drive off with my boat and my trailer. Um, if you can, and again, you're looking here at security fences. Obviously, you saw one that was cut. And one of the things that I learned was if you ever decide to put up a security fence, you want to make the areas here, these each one of these, you want to make sure that you can't get a pair of cutters at it. And so you're looking probably for smaller mesh types of fences that's going to basically slow down a somebody trying to get into your place. We have these automatic locks, so the gate closes, and we feel pretty good about it until what I don't know, a couple, 3 or 4 months ago, I guess it was. I got these pictures here, and so here were the guys were able to get inside of the locked gate, climbed right over, was able to take the lid off of it, and there was the instructions uh, right there on how to open it. And so all they had to do was open it, open the gate, go in and steal what they wanted. So I guess the point here is if you've got these instructions there, lock the gate, lock that lid on it, get rid of the instructions, do something to make this such an easy operation to steal. Some of the more easy parking things is to basically take your trucks and or your trailer in your lots or at the job sites and park in front of the trailers like you'll see on this left-hand side here. And then here you can see them pulling the truck behind it. And so that's going to make it, I'm going to say, nearly impossible to pull out, especially if you are doing lots of work around places that you have to travel to and spend the night, like many of you do, lakes, reservoirs, what have you. You really want to spend just a few minutes and go up to the counter and say, I've got a trailer and a truck and some equipment. Can you tell me the best location to be able to have my truck and trailer protected on camera? Now, I've tried this a couple times to see their response. It was pretty interesting. They won't tell you where the trailer is, but they will tell you the best locations. And so you find those where you got the lights, security cameras, and where on this case here, you can see that they have parked a truck in front of their two trucks, so I can't go forward. And in the background here, they have it backed up against something. So it's going to make it nearly impossible to get my trailer and or contents, but not the trailer and the truck. If you're at your place of business, anytime that you can put your enclosed box trailer up against something which prevents somebody from getting in, this is almost not quite close enough. But in this case, if you tried to open it, you would have difficulty being able to get things out. The other one that may not make sense to me as I, again, was trying to think about it, if you have a trailer and the trailer is empty, then leave the doors unlocked and leave it where somebody can actually open it and look in. This is probably going to save a lot of damage to your trailer being done as somebody is trying to break in. We have a few. I don't have any really good pictures to show that one, except I'm using this demonstration. We will have people at their places of business that will actually tie down their trailers, tie their trailers to a post, concrete, or something that can't be moved. And that, again, is a very quick way of protecting your possessions. Okay, so parking's easy, and I really like this idea of parking up against something and having the trucks to do it. Visual, you wouldn't think, but how many trailers are like this? Tens of thousands. There's really nothing unique about this trailer. And so once it's stolen, you're not going to get it back. What you're going to tell the person, it's got a 2-axle trailer, whatever the size, it's white. There is no chance of collecting it back. Now, if you take your trailers, which is good advertising as well, and you actually put some sort of marking on it like this, and the name of your company and whatever you want to advertise, this makes it less attractive, because if I steal this trailer, again, we're going to take the contents is a different issue, but who's going to buy this trailer with all of this? Because now I'm going to have to do a lot of work, and most thieves are not going to do the work to make this into a trailer that you could recognize. Always, whether it's your boat trailers, your enclosed trailers, whatever you got, you want to put some marking on it. Now, I'm using this on the outside to show it, but what I would prefer to do is have some sort of identification on the inside, and it can be anything. It can be any mark, number, it can be a picture, it can be your name. It doesn't make any difference. So that if the trailer was stolen, you could say on the inside of the trailer, it's got this, let's assume this was on the inside, it's got LU7K82 on the inside, and that's how you know it's my trailer. This was actually from a person down in Florida that was in the race car business, and down there apparently a lot of these trailers with race cars and parts and stuff are highly sought after by thieves. And so what they told me was that when you get a trailer and you get on top of your trailer and you mark it. So what I've done here is I've marked the top of my trailer. I asked the guys that are one of our Purdue farms to do it, and they wanted to be funny. But all you got to do is write number 1 or Fred or whatever you want to put up there. It's not important. So that if the trailer was ever stolen, nobody's going to think to look up here. And then as the surveillance police are out, let's say helicopters, then in that particular case, your trailer is easy to spot. And in fact, he told me it was the trailer that was stolen from them was actually recovered because as they were flying over, they were able to spot their mark on their trailer and knew exactly where it was at. Okay, so parking's easy, visual. Those are 2 of the easier things we can do that really doesn't cost a whole lot. Now, the mechanical is what we always want to look at. And the idea is you can't move what you can't roll. In all of this, what we're trying to do is to slow people down, make it more time consuming to do something, right? And the more time that it takes, the more likely they're going to move off of what they want to take from you. So locking trailer chains, you can see here, we saw that one trailer that looked like it was being pulled by chains out of the lot. So if you wanted to at night, you could lock your chains up to prevent that. Again, easier kinds of things. We spent a lot of effort buying locking pins and those kind of things, and locking the hitch in place. And I found this online, and I thought it was pretty interesting. These guys with a pipe took that off in 7 seconds. So I don't know about you, but that was just shocking to me. And this isn't advertising, so that you understand that. And You can see here on this boat what they did. That took 3 seconds, and that was probably given a second or two more than it really was with the pipe. So they see another boat, and what they're going to do, and then this one here, I think, took almost 3 minutes to break off, which is a long time if you're out there trying to take something. So I didn't believe the commercial, so we had a bunch of pins that we had bought. And just to show you, this is us, not an advertising. And if we'd had a better pipe, we could have done this a lot quicker, but that's all we
Afraid I
had.
get the pipe on this one. Let's see what happens.
Okay. Steve, did you even apply any pressure to it?
With this long pipe and
Well, that,
the grip that I got on that lock
it
set,
only took a couple
This
of
was,
seconds to do that, which,
about as fast as a 5-second cut in half.
yeah, so you can
Well, this
see
took
that's
nothing.
why we need to do some homework. And so when you start to buy things, you're going to be looking at things on the advertising, and so seeing what they're selling it, what it's made of, and understanding that probably everything can be broken, which is why you want more than one security. So it might be your parking along with these pins. It might be the pin with the chain, as we'll see here. If you wanted to do something, you could pull the pin out of your trailer system, and basically, when you pull the pin out of the emergency braking system, then that would actually lock the brakes. And so that could be an option that you have. You can buy things that what the cops do when people don't pay their tickets. They lock these up, and actually pretty clever, the yellow one or the red one. And you'll notice that almost all of these things here, whether it's the red one or the yellow, highly visible, because now they want to show the thieves that and the people who are parking that we've got some security here, and it's going to be pretty difficult and time consuming for you to cut. If you're going to do this, make sure that you place this actually on the tires on the driver's side so you can see them when you go in and you look in your rear view mirror to leave, that you don't forget to take it out. Again, things like this, if you've got equipment, boats, and things that people highly desire, being able just to put a chain in it, let them see it. And this is a heavy duty chain with one of the best locks that you can buy. And we'll talk about locks in a minute. Pretty common here, actually a great deterrent is when you're going to buy these security devices, and what you're going to have is you buy this and you put that into it, and it's locked in place so that somebody can't just drop that trailer onto it. This is what it looks like that's in place. But even though it looks like it's secured, watch this. Can you see an issue with this one right here? And the issue here is I could take a pry bar and get this off. Now, if I'm looking at this one, I've got two security devices here. And so that means I'm going to have to break two, which is going to take time.
Steve, let's see if we can pry this one loose.
We're going to practice a little bit here to show you what we're talking about. So time is running.
Now this is good because it's taking time,
It's taking time.
and you can feel you getting frustrated here
Yeah.
as they're trying to pop it off. And
These rounded surfaces, there's really not a good place to get a good.
okay.
So
unless
again,
you had all
this one
day,
was
this
pretty
is going to
good.
be pretty hard, isn't it?
What appeared to be
It'd
pretty
be pretty
good.
hard, or I'd go back to the grinder cutter wheel.
Okay.
And
So let's try. Let's see. And I'm going to back up out of the way, and you go ahead and see if we can't knock it off.
Now again, these are
That one
great
came off, not with
devices,
the pry bars, but with a sledgehammer.
great devices, but you got to think about what you're trying to do on your specific trailer. It's more than putting that ball into the coupler. It's about making sure that I can't knock it off.
Take it off.
Yeah, since we bought this one, Steve, let's try with the crowbar first.
So I've got some space. Okay, again, I'm trying to make my point. You got to do your homework, and you're going to need multiple security devices on it, trying it. So spend some time to look at balls that's going to fit perfectly into it, places that you won't have a lot of places I can pry, and something like this is going to be difficult to cut. So again, a little bit of homework. Now, this is where I don't understand. I do understand, because when I buy locks, I used to buy locks and whatever worked and whatever is the cheapest. But if I've got a trailer, and this particular example that I'm using was at a field day, and the gentleman had all kinds of lawn equipment that he was selling, and I don't know, $30,000-$40,000 worth, not counting the trailer. And and I was looking at his lock. He said, "Good lock, isn't it?" I said, well, yeah. He said, "Cost me $7.50. That was a good deal." And I've never forgotten that discussion with that man at the time. So let's look at some locks, which is something that you and I, and it's going to need to spend some time on. So anytime I have a lock that I can pry open like I'm doing here, then I have the ability then to either pry it off, such as here, or actually just get a cutting wheel. Now, Pete cut that in about 5 seconds. And so you can, and it's because I had access to that shank that I could get to it a whole lot easier.
2 and 1.
Well, Curtis, you know, we
This is
talk
little,
about
Curtis.
these cutters all the time, and you know, that's what ultimately is not what this says harden on it. It says whether or not I can cut it.
Yep.
So this one does say harden, but it's also got a pretty small diameter shank, and I have access to it.
Yes.
So let's just see. I'm
And
going to
access
go ahead
is
and
the
time it
shank is
here.
what
When
we're
you're
talking
ready,
about.
let me know when you're ready, and I'll just time it.
Okay.
Go.
Well, that was pretty hard. Made a little bit of a chip in it.
Okay, so that's 15
So,
seconds.
so now we're going to get Big Curtis
Okay, let's
in
get
here.
Big Curtis in here. All right.
Oh, that's great.
So let's see. In this case here, we're looking at
Well, Big Curtis will do
hard.
it.
Tell me when you're ready to go. Go ahead.
And he's going to use his body here to give him some leverage.
So that took me all of 10 seconds to break the lock.
And that's because I can actually get that right in there to be able to cut it. So if you start looking at a lot of these locks where they've got the hidden shackles, or it makes it very difficult to get it with a cutter, anything like that. So I want one that doesn't have that shank that I can cut. And you have different kinds of designs depending on what you're trying to protect. Here is another one, and you can see here that if that was on a lock, the difficulty I would have of getting something there to be able to actually cut through it. Now, you would like to get something that's as big of a lock as will fit the hole, because the bigger the diameter, the harder it's going to be to cut, more time. But again, if I have access to it, I can cut these things with hardened steel. You want one with lots
As
of
you put the
pins.
key in, you can see the pins go up and down. And then when the key is already all the way in, it is flush. And then the lock will turn. If you put a key in that's not been cut for this, you'll have pins that stick up like that and then won't let the lock turn flush. And then you have your key stick up and down if it's not the proper key.
Yeah, flush was that.
Now, that particular pin that you were seeing is called is a 6-pin. And let's see if I can go back just a little bit and make it work. You can count the pins there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The more pins that I have, the more difficult it's going to be to pick the lock. Okay, and that's where the pins come into play here. The more pins that I can buy, again, just making it a little bit more difficult.
All right, so Curtis, this is just your standard, what a locksmith would use to try to open up a lock somebody's house. But since it's available online, the crooks have them too. And again, it's just all kinds of different tools. So the object here is to try to get those pins to be flush without a key. And that's what these two devices are doing.
And keep a little tension on it. When you get it flush, it'll open it right up.
Okay, so let's try it and see what
So
it
this
takes.
is just going to pick a lock. I mean, these are our locksmiths here at Purdue because they oftentimes have to open these locks.
And right now,
And you can see he got
that
that
was
one
10
open
seconds.
to be able to get one.
So that kept the pins flush so that lock would come out.
Okay. Now, there is another set of keys that I would highly recommend, and these called restricted keys. Not only do they have it's kind of hard to show. I've got pins down here and I've got pins up here that this key is got actually up and down, and I guess it's horizontal and vertical. These are called restricted keys, and they're almost impossible to pick. So if I was getting a lock and I was trying to protect something of value, then that's the kind of key that I would want to have on my locks. And so, you know, your last thing is, because of the environments that we work in, you'd like to have your locks where the entries are protected to keep out rain, mud, and other things, and to be able to actually protect it against grime and dirt and those kind of things. So these locks all need maintenance. It's always better if the opening of the lock is on the bottom so it doesn't rain. You have some of these have got caps, and the lubrication is whether you use a liquid or a dry. Obviously, you don't mix them up.
So Curtis, you know, after going through this conversation here with you, there's some things that I picked up, and I think one is price is going to be at the end where I can compare apples to apples.
Sure.
So I'm going to look for something that's hard and steel. I'm going to look for something, if I can, that's got this shank that's harder to get to. Either it's completely enclosed, such as this one, or not very much there. I want to get a shank. The thicker the diameter of the shank, the better.
Sure.
So as long as it obviously fits, the stronger. I'm going to make sure that, because these are going to be an investment, that I'm going to make sure that we have the ability for this stuff to be protected from the weather, right?
Sure.
And that also includes not only here from water getting in and crud, but also being able to protect this right there, right? And then if I have a choice, I'm going to be looking at the type of key that I have. And so there's the more pins, maybe a little bit harder to pick, but what's going to be more difficult is when we go to these other keys that
They're
are
restricted keys.
They're restricted keys, and even to these keys here.
Sure.
So if I start looking at all of that, I'm going to be looking at probably $50, $75.
Yeah, I would say, you know, for you to get a really good padlock, you're talking about $50. Yeah.
Very good.
And so is $50 too much of an investment to protect 20, 30, 40,000 or to protect the tools that you need. And it's not so much that they're stolen. Now you're going to have to replace them. Now you're going to be down time. And so I think these locks are worth exploring and taking a look at. And so the last one on our list of parking visual mechanical is GPS. Nowadays, these GPS systems are so cheap. You can buy them for almost nothing. You put them on your trailer. Some of them are activated on your phone. I mean, you can spend as much on these GPS, but it's such an easy thing to put on. And I still like the idea, even if you don't have it, and I don't have a good picture, is to put on your equipment protected by GPS. And so at least those kinds of warning, whether you have one or not, it should deter most of your people who want to steal things. So our whole purpose was just using a couple of these different ideas to increase the time that somebody's going to try to take your stuff. And the more time they have to take, then the less the less opportunity they're going to have to take something from you. We're going to try to do a minimum of 2 or more approaches, because if one fails, you've got another backup. And some of this, if you just think of your parking, you think of a good lock, you think of some of this is going to be so easy to do if you do make the effort. And then lastly, when you start spending money on these locks and chains and other kinds of things, you really want to spend a little bit of time doing your homework, just like you spent time learning the trade that you have. And you can see the cost can be for some of this stuff. The wheel club was almost 95. This one's 62, 134 for a gooseneck. That little red one was only 20 bucks that we had trouble breaking. This GPS was 56. Again, you can look at the prices and they go all across the board. And some of the better ones are cheap and some of the more expensive ones are not. So that's why we need to do the homework. So it has to deter the thieves, but it also has to be quick and easy to use. That is, if it's real difficult to use, these things are going to end up in the trucks, never used. They're going to end up on the storage cabinets or shelves, not used, and you're wasting money. So think a little bit about how do we deter thefts and have our employees actually use them. So in conclusion, and some of the recommendation is to make an effort. Unless your attitude is they're going to take it anyhow, let them have it. Use more than one security device. Do your homework, that we've repeated these a number of times. And then lastly, talk to your insurance agent, because, and we're going to do a talk here just today at your conference on some of the factors to ask your insurance agent, because I will tell you that most of your trailer contents are not covered. And most of your trailers, if they're ever involved in a wreck, the trailer is not going to be repaired, and your equipment's not going to be replaced unless you have the coverage. And again, we'll spend more time on it. But I think we can actually do a lot more by making an effort in keeping the property that we work for and keeping it in our hands versus giving it away. So I hope you learned a couple of points here. I hope there's 1 or 2 things you can take away to try to make your life a little bit easier and to make it more difficult on the people wanting to steal our stuff. So with that, I appreciate it. We'll be taking questions and answers here in a couple of minutes.